drivers to sing their best. Haven for people who want to be free, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the hills of the Cape shore is down with the sun, a path reaching out in the north of Iran. And the cry of the vineyard as sad as can be, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. The hills of the Cape shore with birds first bruise, we are fly with the wagons and run with the moon. You'll flow through the freedom as you'll ever be, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the hills of the Cape shore are begging you. You hunters, you anglers, whatever you do. If you've got your troubles, then you can flee to where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the hills of the Cape shore are calling you forth, a hope to the people who are salt of the earth. People with projects that forgot coffee, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the hills of the Cape shore is the way west, and where I am dead, that's where I am at west. Just after my ashes, I'll do that for me, of the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the hills of the Cape shore is surely the best, and when I am dead, that's where I am to rest. So scatter my ashes, I'll do that for me, of the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. So scatter my ashes, I'll do that for me, of the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Haven for people who want to be free, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the hills of the Cape shore is down with the sun, a path reaching out in the north of Iran. And the cry of the vineyard as sad as can be, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. The hills of the Cape shore with birds first bruise, we are fly with the wagons and run with the moon. You'll flow through the freedom as you'll ever be, where the hills of the Cape shore roll down to the sea. Oh, the
week of October 1st to 7th, some of the senior high students of Fatima Central High School spent time to produce what we are about to show you. This video shows different aspects of the Cape Shore area, and we hope you'll enjoy what we have produced. Thank you.
Is Mr. Dave Caffey, a well-known senior citizen of Coslet. Dave is 86 years old and served overseas in the war. Dave, you were in the war, weren't you?
Yes, yeah.
When did you join?
I joined in 39.
And why?
39.
And what were your duties in the war?
Minesweeping, first of it. Then went on bandoliers and out in the Rangoon River. I worked at laying bends for the fleet sweepers when they'd be coming through. And let them know that it'd be all single flags, and then there'd be a double flag at the end to let them see that they had that much ground tuck. See, they had so much sea going over. And Rangoon River. Rangoon River.
What do you mean by marine sweepers? Is that some kind of a type of boat you're in?
What?
By marine sweepers, is that some kind of
yes,
boat?
The sweepers is the fleet sweepers.
Yeah.
And the bandoliers was laying the buoys for to let them see the channel was clear, you see. It was at the time of the invasion there. The invasion of the Burmese Rangoon. Rangoon.
How long did you serve in the war?
What?
How long did you serve in the war?
I was 5 years older, but I was in England now 3 years of that. The last 2 years were out in the east. I was in England all first, as well, minesweepers. There'd be minesweepers in the channel, you see. But now I was drafted when I was aboard a horse. She was going out east. We're in the Persian Gulf. Where the trouble is now, there were 3 nights in that. I'll never forget the heat. The heat was wicked. I'd like to die of the heat. And the Indian Ocean, a lot of ships stopped in the Bay of Bengal. I often hear that about me in your lesson books, you know, them things do. The Bay of Bengal is in the Indian Ocean. And we were there for nearly 3 weeks. Under train, you see, before the invasion. Then we had to go into the invasion of Rangoon, of Burma. Rangoon is the capital. The Japanese took it in the first of the war. This is concerning the Conception Bay man in the olden days. They say you don't know Hawko. Now, chum, that's a coming strong. Unless indeed you're a foreigner, not to these parts belong. There's neither man from topsail clear up the whole south shore that have not heard of Hawko the last 2 months or more. Hawko, the brave, the valiant, the man from Harbour, Maine, and how he strove and struggled to save the evening train. Yes, Jim is a highline hero, and as sure as you are born, give me a small nip out of the flask. Now, there, one of you give me the small nip, and I won't mind telling the yarn. And sailing off my bearings, if you'd excuse my whim, we'll drop the wonder talk, sir, and I'll tell the tale of Jim. Throughout the livelong summer, he toiled and he fished the ground, got in his wood for the winter when the fall time came around. On the brow of the hill where he pitched it across the railway track, he cut his wood over yonder and he lugged it on his back. But he never pitched that wood, sir, till danger was near nigh, till the blue smoke of the evening train had toward St. John's passed by. One evening in late September he came to the top of the hill, and after usual train time and all was quiet and still, he threw his wood right over, not thinking it any harm, when the call of the number 10, sir, came bawling around the arm. Jim stopped for a moment only. He thought on 100 lives on board of the train, and the children and the broken-hearted wives. So he off with his coat and waistcoat, he tied his braces round. He cleared the hill like a deer, sir, almost at a single bound. Hear the crack the brakes man shouted, and then a wild effort made to slow the speed of the engine as she snorted down the grade. He made one more endeavor. He risked his life's last chance. He just had the last stick over when the cowcatcher found his pants. He sprang to a place of safety. He heeded thanks God's sigh. He saw the danger over, and the train goes whistling by. But how do you think they served him when they to the town got back? They sent a man to arrest him for petting the railway track. Early the very next morning he was summoned before the judge with lawyers and policemen and all their legal fudge. He prayed in his soul of souls, sir, to be tried by Mr. Prouse. For the judge, when he's out at shooting, he stops at Hawko's house. But when he entered the court, sir, he'd bid goodbye to joy, for there on the bench before him was the form of Judge Conroy. The witness took the stand, sir, they kissed the book and they swore. The lawyers tangled him up, sir, and then they swore some more. The judge, he listened quietly, the lawyers fired away. The judge, he listened quietly, but then he had his say. They brought you here as a scoundrel to prove you, so I'm told, but I read the matter different. I think you're a hero of old. In all the history's pages, your name it shall go down with the man that fired the Tempest and the man that burned the town.
Mr. Pat Coffey of Custlet. Pat is a sheep farmer as well as an inshore fisherman. Tell me, Pat, about your sheep farm, for starts.
Well, this year I'll have around 56 sheep, the all survives. I started off with 12 about 6 years ago. And I've been trying to increase them ever since, you know.
Yeah.
Not all that easy, but if I was into it, if you were at it full time, you need a lot more than that, but I'm only at it for part-time, pastime.
Yeah. And how'd you get involved in this business and why?
Well, the reason why, like I just told you, was a bit of pastime and part-time on account of the fishery. But why? Well, because there was something my father had and my grandfather had, and the ground was there and the barn was there and the sheep was there, so this is why I started. I decided to keep going with it.
What are the pros and cons of the sheep business? Like, take, for example, the fox and lynx problem.
By this year, it's the only year we had that trouble now. We had a lot of trouble this year with fox. I see the fox kill a lamb right there in the yard. And the lynx, they say the lynx been killing them. I shot a lynx there a couple of weeks ago, up in that tree there. And I saw another fella Friday night, about a half mile up Costler River.
Do you think there should be something done about this? And how do you think it should be done?
Well, I was trying to get something done about it last year. I was after wildlife to get something done about it, and they say rather than trap them, snare them, or shoot them, there's nothing else can be done about it. They wouldn't agree to give out poison, and there's going to be a problem with the lynx because they're not that easy to catch.
No, I've seen the link myself, and it looks like a pretty fearful animal. I'd say this could endanger, like, just say, little kids and everything, you know, because the link was so close to the sheep house. Do you think now that's part of the problem also?
Well, he probably would, you know. The fellow I see Friday night didn't seem to be afraid.
No?
He didn't seem to be nervous, no. So I don't know if he'd bother kids or he's certainly going to destroy a lot of the lambs and a lot of the sheep, not only on me, but all around the shore.
Yeah. Well, this sheep business that you're at now, can Costle prosper out of this? Is there any way that Costle could prosper out of it?
Well, you know, Costling not at it, I'm at it.
No, well, is there any way that Costle could prosper?
Well, I guess if people went at it, you know, there's only 2 or 3 here at it.
Yeah.
And this year I sold $2,500 worth of lambs, and I certainly lost over half the flock. So if I hadn't lost that on account of the cold spring and the foxes and lynx, I would have made $5,000 on the lambs. So that'd be a lot of money, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What do you think your future yourself in this business could be? Do you think expanding? Are you thinking of expanding your business, or
Well,
you think it's good
I
like
had
you got it?
56, so probably if I had some pasture, go on to 80 or something like that. But I would probably like to go to 100 if I had a pasture farm, but we don't have any pasture.
No.
And probably hang in where I'm to, or probably go up to 70 or 80, but that'll be about it for
That's
me.
probably a pretty good number there. Like for
We're looking
yourself.
at 100, 125 lambs a year, so you know that'd be a good many dollars on the sideline.
And it's just yourself and your son there, is it?
Yeah, just me and family, you know, and the boys.
Yeah. Okay, I also want to ask you now, what do you think? Do you think that there's a crisis in our fishery?
Right. There seems to be, you know, an awful lot of trouble at the fishery. Different areas of Newfoundland, you know, we're not having a real crisis around here, you know, in some brides, a bit lucky, but there are crises in the fishery all around Newfoundland.
Yeah.
But he probably take a long while to get that straightened up, you know.
Yeah, and they say that this was a rather good year out here on the Cape Shore. I think so too. Do you think that next year will probably be as good?
Well, I've been only back into it now 4 years. Been the best we had in 4. And you can't speak for next year, you know, it mightn't be narrower next year.
That's true. They've enlarged the quota for the trawlers at, I believe it's Cape St. Mary's or something like that. Do you think now that that is something that they should do or shouldn't?
No, that's something they shouldn't do. I think if the inshore fishermen don't catch the inshore quota, it should be left uncaught and left over for the next year. The draggers shouldn't be able to come in where the small boats to be and catch it.
Another question now I'll have to ask you. What do you think of the Hibernia deal? Do you think that this deal will help the Cape Shore?
I leave that to Clyde Wells and John Crosby and a few more, you know. I can't see even anyone intends to go chase it and go down to Mosquito Cove to drive back and forth to Cape Shore. You're going to be on the road 5 to 6 hours a day, so I wouldn't want to be at it, you know.
No. Well, okay, Pat, thank you very much. And, you know.
Fanning Manning of Coslet. So, why did you get involved in the business of sheep farming?
Well, I guess more for pastime. I suppose a part of my living. I've been at it all my life anyway. I've been at it since about 15 years old. Sometimes I did have a big flock, more times not so many. Right now I haven't got too many because I guess I'm just a bit past that now. But around here there's not very much more to do except that and fishing, and I did fish for a few years. And I like it more for pastime than anything else, sheep farming. I don't know how, it don't seem to be as successful as it was in the past years because there's there's not a very good place to pasture, and the price is good, and there's not too many young people interested in them. I can see that. More old people get them now, and I think it should be, there's room, it could be improved a lot better than it is. But right here in this Costlet there's about 5 flocks. I think there could be a lot more, and all the other places too. I think there should be more young people involved in it, because at least as a sideline anyway, Around here there's nothing only the fishery is the only area where there's money, the fishery. And the fish plant, well, people is not involved in the fishery. There's not much more for them to do, only farming. Like, we got no mining, there's nothing else around. There's not much industry around except the farming. So I guess it's a part of my living. It wasn't all my living, but it's a part of my living, and it's something I really liked all my life. Work at it.
What are the pros and cons of this sheep business? For example, the lynx problem.
I never had trouble with links, but you have it around here, some with links, yeah. I guess I'd say the links are going to be a bad thing. It seems like they're getting plentiful around, you know. I did have some problems with dogs, but we don't have a problem with dogs here like they do in other parts. Like, I've talked to people from down around Carbonear, they had terrible problem with dogs, and they have some in Branch with dogs, but here we had very little problem with dogs. They did have some here. And I guess the lynx, seems like the lynx this past year are taking over too. They're going to give a problem. And this year there's some problem with the market. It's not as good as it used to be. They claim there's a local lamb coming in from Nova Scotia to flood the market. Like, their sale for them this year, but it's not as good as it was in other years. And I guess if that keeps up, it's going to make a difference in it, because people are not going to be so interested in it. You know?
Do you think that there's a good future for sheep farming?
Oh yes, I think there's a good future for it. There's plenty of land around here and everything. Yeah, I think the most need we got is somewhere better place for pasturing in the summer, wild pasture. Either a good community pasture or improvement on the, somewhere like on Cape St Mary's or somewhere like that. It takes quite a bit of pasture in the summer, and if they're not pasture good, well, you can't expect to get much price from them. They're in poor condition in the fall. That's the big idea of it, the pasture thing. And other problems, I don't see. We had problems. I was on that community pasture for quite a few years. When that started, we had a big problem with the blowfly. That was the worst thing was ever around. There was the blowfly. So once the sheep were dipped a couple of years, that ended. We never had no trouble with sense in this area. No, just about wiped out the sheep population. Then it was about 1969, 70 when that took place here. And, once they were dipped a few times, I was at the dipping for 10 years up around the pasture, and I cleaned that right up, and it made the sheep look better, and made the market better too. Butchers like to buy clean stuff; they don't like to buy dirty stuff. Nobody do, I suppose.
Do you think Coslett can prosper from fish farming?
Fish farming?
Oh.
Or sheep farming, is it?
Sheep farming.
Sheep farming. I'd say they could. I'd say there could be a lot more sheep here, and there's quite a bit of land here. I'd say it could prosper better, yes. Yeah. With some better pasture in the summertime for them, and some way for more hayland to be cleared for people like me. I got enough of hayland, more than I can handle, but other people here haven't got that, And I'd say yes, it could prosper more if the herds of sheep were increased and better pasture in the summertime. A few things like that, And some more butchers. I think the market is going to have to be brought up better too, for younger people to get into it. That would be my idea.
Do you cut all your own hay for your sheep, or do you buy some?
No, I cut my own hay. All my lifetime. I use some hand feed. I find that sheep don't need hand feed in the winter time. In the spring, before the lambs are born, I use some hand feed. I buy that. Yeah, that's all I buy, hand feed. No, I've never bought hay. There's some people around, other people who don't have so much land, they get to buy. It's very expensive to buy. I'd say people buying hay, they find it pretty hard to make 2 ends meet, for to get very much out of it. Like me, I don't have much expense with them. I don't get that much out of it, but we don't have much expense either, so there is room to get something out of them, I suppose, that way. Yeah.
Is there any agriculture in Coslett?
Agriculture? No, except that, sheep farming. People raise their own vegetables here, a few houses. Most houses here raise their own vegetables. And there's just a few cattle, a fistful of cattle here now, and so that's the only agriculture here. I think that's another thing. I think there could be more vegetables growing around here. I always grow my own all my lifetime. A few houses here do grow them, and some more don't. And I think everybody could at least grow their own vegetables here.
Do you think that sheep will be good next year? Will there be a good price for them?
Yeah, I think so. I don't seem like any reason to believe that it won't, but that thing with the sheep imported from Nova Scotia, somebody in the government, and the government side is going to have to intervene in that or something, you know, to help out with that for the local people, I think. Because that's the first thing we found this fall. We put a big slump in the industry, you know, in regards to selling the sheep. There's some people around here haven't got their lambs sold yet. Although it's not that hard to sell them, but it's certainly not as prosperous as other years with that. Importing the lamb from Nova Scotia would be claimed to be importing them cheaper, which I imagine they can raise them cheaper up in Nova Scotia. And if they keep up, it's going to make a big difference to it here. Yeah.
Do you feel that there's much of a future for the Cape Shore with all the young people leaving?
No, I certainly don't. If that keeps up, there's going to be no future. It's going to be a ghost town. And that's what I call this place here now. I live in a ghost town because it's like it. All the young people are gone. There's nobody here, only a few old people, and there's not much good to go anywhere else. Not, you know, don't feel like going anywhere else or something, and no good to work anywhere else. That's all that's left. There's no future if that keeps up. No. And I don't see much too attractive here, to tell you the truth, except some people are involved in the fishery. There's some young people involved in the fishery, but quite here in Custis, there's not very many young people involved, one or two. And no, if that keeps up with them going away, I don't see no future to it. You know, maybe with this oil industry coming up, Hibernia somewhere, there might be some jobs for people from this area, some part of Newfoundland. I hope so. And my own family, they're all scattered all over Canada. I'd love to have at least one or two of them here. You know, and that's the problem. They comes home, they claim they got to go because there's nothing here from to earn, you know. And if you don't earn money now, well, you can't live very good. So if that, with the trend that's in it now, no, I don't see no future for it that way, with the young people going away.
Boy or girl?
I don't know. Girl. Girl.
What sort of a dog is it?
Water dog.
And what's your name?
Jean.
I see. And what's the name of your pussycat?
Alex.
Alex. Is it a boy or a girl?
Girl.
I see. How old is he? She, I mean.
Around a year.
Yeah. And what's your name?
Hilda.
And what about you, little man? Where's your little pet to? What is it?
Dog.
What is it? What kind of a dog is it?
Cracky.
And what's your name?
Adam.
Pasture land here in Angels Go Farm.
Do you intend to get back into the sheep production business?
Yes, I will. In another year.
What do you think the economically and social future of Angels Cove will be like in future years?
Well, that's hard to tell, there.
In your teen years, what did you do for pastime?
Well, working in the woods. Done a little bit of fishing.
Sally, work in Hibernia will produce any work for residents of Angels Cove?
Well, there's few get a job, I suppose. Huh? Yeah, few get a few jobs.
Way nicer than what it is now. Everyone was together, there was all kinds of fun. That's it.
He has a scatter game of volleyball, scatter game of basketball. We go to a couple of dances.
We walk up and down the road in the night times and we sit on the fence, and the only bit of fun we have is the fun we make ourselves. Okay, thank you. Okay. You speak right into the mic, eh? Okay, what are you going to say? Okay, what else? Plays with your friends.
Plays with my friends.
Laying down. Okay?
Go swimming.
And what do you, as a younger generation of Angels Club, do?
I ride around the lanes on my bike and I play with my friends, and half the time I have swims in the summer.
What do you do?
I rides my bike up the lane and sometimes I goes up the store.
I see.
What do you think of the fish plant now? Do you think that we should get a new one?
Right.
There's a rumour going around that there are people here who aren't for the fish plant. Do you think that we should be for the fish plant?
Well, the fish plant is the mainstay around here, which brings a lot of money into the community. If there's never a fish plant, there'd be nothing here.
No, everybody on the shore would be affected by it,
Sure.
especially the...
Sure.
If we had lit programs, do you think that these are helping or hindering the people of the area to get work?
The program is all right, there's nothing wrong with the programs if the money is spent, you know, like, you're not talking about hundreds of dollars in lit programs,
No.
you're talking about thousands. And when the job is over, the money is spent, and there's nothing that you can see is done for that money.
No, they should do something productive.
Right, 100%, 100%. Like I have, we'll say I have $10,000 to start, this is the first of the month. And when that job is over, and the $10,000 is spent, I can look back and say, well, that is a good job. If there's no good to me, it's going to be good to the crowd who'll come after me. You know, the money is well spent. You can see something for it.
Something that's sensible that people in the area can use.
Sure, right.
The economic situation in the area, do you think it's declining or is it going up or is it staying the same?
It's coming up, it's coming up.
Do you see any way we could make it better?
No, it's best, it's all right as it is. There's room for improvement. No, always room, like Father Lawler when he was parish priest. There's always room for improvement, right? No.
What do you think of the fishery, the way it was in the past and the way it is now?
Well, I would say that the fishery today is a conduct. That's all you can call it. We fished. I went fishing at 13 in a dory with me father. And I come along up to the turtles. We'd be leaving home at 12 o'clock in the night when the captain would be in a round dory. And you'd be lucky to have a drop of molasses to put on a slice of bread. 12 o'clock in the night. And here they are today. They have submarines over there for motorboats. And they don't go till 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning. And anything that you want to put in that crab can for the day, from a tin of fruit to a bought cake, a bottle of beer, a flask, if you want it. You can have all day. We were some lucky to have a drop of molasses for a slice of bread. A Klondike, that's all. You're only going out for the good of your health. That's all you're going out for today. Money, the end of the ends. £112 a fish, a dry fish, $2.50. Bring in that and split it and wash it, salt it, make it, bring it home and haul it from over to the fish plant up here. I lived over there. We had flakes over there, make it over there. $2.50 a tin. £112. Klondike, that's all you can call it today. Klondike right here. This place is coming up. Look over there this summer. $7.20 an hour. 10 and 12 and 14 hours working in that plant. There's a lot of communities in Newfoundland today. They haven't as prosperous as we have it here. A whole lot of stuff where we should be very thankful for right here. Guaranteed.
Any different from now and then?
The farming around here,
Yeah.
that's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone. So the young crowd is not going up there. So you give a young man today, in the spring of the year, a shovel to dig up a ridge of turnip ground. He'd eat the handle of the shovel before he dig it up. He never see it dug up. His father never showed him how it was done. Understand? Like if I'm not showed, if I'm not learned to drive that what you have, I'm not able to drive a horse, not to say drive what you have out there. You have to be learned and made those things. Understand? There was 4 of us lived over home. And my father, he was to give us our work from Monday until Saturday evening. Every morning you get your day's work. He'd line out your day's work for you. Now, Skipper, I'm going to tell you something. When you sat into your supper in the evening, if you hadn't done, my father wanted to know the reason why you didn't do it. He put us right through our college. I stayed up with my wife's mother. She died the 22nd of April, 1939. And I was up all night. And I come home over there, that's my father's house over there. I come home over there in the morning, after being up all night. I got in to get a mug up at the end of the table. My father was out feeding the cattle in the stable. And when he come in, he said to me, he said, the cotler is out there by the hay shack. When you were done eating there, he said, go up and skin that turnip ground. I skinned 18 ridges of cabbage and turnips after being up all night. I told Dave Quinton out there, that's the man, he put us through our collar. So when I went down for myself, his bones was in the graveyard then. I was proud because I knew if I wanted a potato or a turnip or a cabbage, bit of wood, all this stuff, fencing, I had to get out and get it myself. There's one goddamn sure thing, there was no one going to give it to me. I had to get out and get it myself. I had to tip me cap to anyone that is educated. There was no grades when we going to school. No one there. Learning to read and write, that's all I learned. I'm not able to write now. One time I used to be writing to girls and I could write to the sky. So when I got married I knocked off writing to girls and that fixed off that.
Thanks for
Well, you're very, very welcome. Very welcome. Come any time at all.
Right now I've got 17 members.
How fast can they respond to a call?
Well, if you're out fishing, they don't respond very quick. If a call in the community, we respond within maybe 5-6 minutes. We respond to calls in Patrick's Cove in less than 15 minutes.
As an assistant fire chief, how do you rank your fellow firefighters?
Great calls.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All your equipment looks really expensive. How do you pay for it?
In our municipal government here, purchased equipment at the first of it. We used
Tolman's was the worst that we ever put out because it was so close to Richard Green's takeout and their gas, and there was a lot of debris in that was falling, and there was stuff parked there that we couldn't get moved, and we were trying to save it, but we didn't. But we kept most of the heat off Mr. Green's place.
Point and stuff and she just ate.
We're telling you.
Oh, yes. Should have seen out the top You should get earrings in the packet.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Explain. Let's get this Chris first.
That's for always open out full length. Okay. There's always different size person use the product. Okay. You know, the Alison will use it, and Keith will use it. Alright, we always have the fellow have the other one into the gear. Up. Tighten up the straps. This is the mask. And closed. Now, for purpose of not using our air, we won't hook it up right, but that screws on there. And he can't breathe now, right? You know? Next the helmet goes on, everything's battened down. His ears are covered, his neck is covered. His collar goes up before he goes in. Here we go. Gloves. You can lay them into a fire, they won't burn. If you find these are heavy, now you can go into a house fire. No. Okay. Now with that, you never win alone, always has a partner with him. Same way, if he starts running out of air, he won't stay in if he starts running out. As soon as his bell sounds here, he'll hear his partner will hear it, and both will come out at the same time. Nobody stays in the fire alone. So he has about solid quality condition usually lasts about 25 minutes each, 25 minutes to half an hour with a tank of air. And their bells sound when you got about 3 minutes left. So you have plenty of time to get back out.
Use it, and if one man is using it, you gotta coil it around and sit on it. If one man can't stand up with it in his hand.
Was that much pressure on for him?
Yeah. So, that's our breathing apparatus. 4 of them there. And we got 6 extra tanks right here that we had for spares, right? Each one of these here, there's a tank in it full, and there's 6 spares full also, at all times. This nozzle here is our foam nozzle. This was what makes the foam for gas fires, or where we're so involved with fishery here, with boats and that, right? Fuel.
It's liquid chemical.
Okay. These ones here are for drafting water. That's for putting it to our main pump and putting it out through our hoses. And we got 2 ladders for climbing our buildings or whatever we got to climb, right? And the rest is in the back. Walls that are already starting to fall, we knock them down with the
Fire while you at the houses. This is our nozzle. There's a gauge on it for spreading water, straight stream or mist, different pounds of pressure. The dispenser rig, these are the ones mostly used if we're approaching in close we can to the house. You just turn this one here and it'll spray, let you get in the wind, lay your hand on the fire like that with your glove on, and you don't feel any heat on your face. Okay, this is our hose. We got about 1,500 feet of this hose here. For this hose, but I think it's a 2-inch. And this one right here, this one we use when we're drafting water a long ways. We hook it up from pump to pump. We use small pumps at intervals. This is supplied to our main pump, which now you don't see. It's in the shop for repairs. Right now we got this one hooked up. It serves the purpose. We got hooked into our tank, and we've used it on drills, and it's putting out about 90 pounds of pressure per square inch. And the one we had on it before is putting out about 100, the big one, the 75 Mark 75 Ajax. So this pretty doing the job pretty well. Let's see what else. We've got extinguishers up there. Over here, I don't know if you can see here, we got extinguisher extra nozzles to hook up. We don't use these very often now since we got those now. And this right here, that's called a Siamese. Don't ask me why it's called a Siamese, but I guess because there's two coming out of the one. This is used, if we want to hook up a 4-inch line and take 2 smaller hoses off it, we just put the couplings down there, screw down the 4-inch in, you're feeding 2 lines from the whole line. This is the liquid that supplies the foam in our foam system for marine fires. It's just a wet liquid, and you feed it through the water system, and the foam comes out. A couple hours after, there's no foam, everything's disappeared, and everything's dried up. There's no water, no nothing. That's about it for up here. That's what it is for up here now. Couplings. And we've also got an extra nozzle. This one right here, something like the one we use in there.
That is? Hello there. This is Mr. Peter Camway. He's our school maintenance man. Hi, Peter.
School janitor.
School janitor. Peter, how long are you at this?
22 years.
22 years.
School opened in 1968, September.
22 years, that's a long time.
Yes.
Do you enjoy your job?
Oh yes, I like to work.
And what sort of work do you do?
Cleaning up the school and all this kind of stuff, waxing, scrubbing.
Oh yeah. And do you have any other janitors here working with you?
Yeah, the maintenance janitor, Mr. Sherry McGrath, he works here in the daytime.
You have no one working with you at night?
No.
Okay then, well I'll have to let you continue on with your work. Thank you very much.
There are fishes both inshore and offshore. Tell me, Lar, how long have you been fishing in St. Bride's?
Oh, I think we're here, around 27 years. I'm fishing ever since.
Ever since you came
Ever
here?
since.
Can you describe to me your boat, the Bay Rose?
Oh, she's a good boat, because we got her for to go out a few crabs. Just after we got her, the price of them dropped down. Only for that, I thought we wouldn't have her, but she's a good boat, and it can't be no better. We wouldn't wish for any better if we had a boat.
I hear you've been fishing off the Virgin Rocks. Could you tell me about your trip?
Yeah, we done good by going out there the year, and there were no fish there at the time, so we done good out there for the 3 months we were out there. We done way better than we did here fishing inshore. There's a lot to fish out.
Was there bad weather out there?
No, the weather was good, something similar like we had in here.
Yeah.
Every day, like smooth, no wind,
No storms.
no storm.
How often did you come to shore?
We mostly used to come in every 4 days like that. We'd have a load then, 3 and 4 days you'd have a load.
If so, about how much fish roughly did you bring in?
So we used to bring in like 27 and 28,000, and a few trips we had 35, and one we had 38. You know, you would have to pretty well load almost every time. So we used to have to bring our gear in town when we come and everything. It's not like home where you'd have to leave your gear out. You'd have to bring your gear in when you come.
Is there more fish this year than last year?
Well, I think the boats here, I think they done better than everybody did here. I think the longliners and the small boats, that's what they tells me. But they done way better this year than everybody did this last 2 years.
us free. He came on board, and to us did say, get your anchor ready, and we'll go to sea. We got her ready at his command. The wind blew freely as we left the land. We left the land all on our lee, and we swam her off in a heavy sea. Down came the storm from the angry sky. A good ship plunged, but she could not rise. We asked our captain to shorten sail, or we feel lost in a heavy gale. He wrung his hands and he tore his hair, saying, was time, Captain? Saying, was time, Captain? You'll never fear. Saying, was time, Captain? You'll never fail. I shoot the fourth man that touched the sail. Then a big wound of a noble crew. There are 12 of us on a deck to stand. We'll race far down if the wind still blows. If you wind stop here, you'll be tied below. He wrung his hand and he tore his hair, saying, was time, Captain, you need not fear. Saying, was time, Captain, you'll never fail. We'll shoot the fourth man that dodged the sail. We restored down against his will. Our good ship sails as our sails still fill. We are heading up for the Cape Light now. I did the wind blown from our bow. Then no more bound in the deep distress. Like a white seagull, she goes seeks Darnell. When I get on shore, no more I'll sail.
If I was the elected vice president of our school, I would try very hard to meet the needs of the students and the school, so teachers, you're right to know. School of thought and students and teachers are employees. To dance and to play games, if that is what you need. I chose from vice president this year because I strongly feel that I want to make the school year the best one yet. The only promise I believe that was made was a good thing to our school. Last year was our first annual carnival. This year some groups made up. For instance, we could try to get an extra day or two.
Over the years, we have had the position of President of the Student Council, once again, alphabetical order. The magic number is 78.
I'll be back again in the
Well, I worked in the fish plant for 8 summers, and since the fish plant closed, it's hard to get work here in the community.
And also the elementary school has closed here. What do you think about this, the situation of the kids having to go 12 miles?
It's all right this time of year, but in the winter time I don't agree with it. Schools should still be open. It's all right for 4, 5, 6 to go, but kindergarten 1, 2 is not. The country is hard enough. I had to go across this winter to go to work, and I don't want to go across. And I am, and I've been down underground, and I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, oh, for any length of time, I can hold it in my mind. I never again will go down underground. At the age of 16 years, he quarreled with his fears, who vowed they'd never see another one. In the dark recess of the mines, where you age before your time, and the cold dust lies heavy on your lungs. It's a working man I am, and I've been down underground, and I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, or for any length of time, I can hold it in my mind. I never again will go down underground. At the age of 64, he'll greet you at the door, and he'll gently lead you by the arm through the dark recess of the mines. Oh, he'll take you back in time, and he'll tell you all the hardships that were hell. It's a working man I am, and I've been down underground, and I swear to God, if I ever see the sun, or for any length of time, I can hold it in my...
Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need. It's the heart the soul afraid of dying, that never learns to live when the night has been too lonely and the road has been too long, when you think that love is only for the lucky and the strong. So just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies the seed that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the rose. If you're from St. Mary's Bay and it's getting up to May, you know what all the fussin' is about. The young ones and the old to the gut they probably stroll, and long liners are made ready to go out. The Point Lads crowd are here with all their fishing gear. George and Bendick and the boys are all about. Val and Clarence in the boats trying hard to make her float, and Kevin to the haters tries her out. Oh, they leave the pond each day to the Cape and sail away, and work all day in wind, the rain and cold. When they come in with their catch, standing proudly on the decks, you swear the fish they're carrying are gold. Ernest, Rourke and Rube are here, they've been fishing many years. Just ask them anything about the Kings. Freddie Roach will make you laugh, Uncle Nick tells all the past when they call him bigger than they are today. When the boats have all come in and the planters in full swing, and everyone is in each other's way. The women and the men thank the Lord for sending them His blessings down on Branch St. Mary's Bay. His blessings down on Branch St. Mary's Bay.
I know that you were involved in a lot of activities around the shore. And could you explain some of them to us?
Well, something that I got involved in over the winter that probably would be of particular interest to your age group is Imagine That Productions Company, and it's a branch, I guess, or a subcommittee of the Status of Women, the Advisory Council on Status of Women. And they gathered people from all over Newfoundland and Labrador, turned out to be about 13 of us, to work together to produce some ads for TV. And it's aimed at career choices for girls, I guess mainly non-traditional, trying to encourage girls into non-traditional careers and making you aware of the fact that you can do anything. And I just last weekend came back from Gander, where we saw the official launching, and they're now on. I saw some on TV this evening, and we're really excited about that, and hope that some of you will pay attention to it. And also, we did a video for the schools. They're going to be going out to the, I think, 206 high schools in the province, and each one of you will have a chance to see it. And we just hope that it will do what we had intended, to stimulate some conversation and to make you think that there's a big world out there and go for it.
And we know that you run the French folk arts campaign.
Yes.
And what does that involve?
Well, the branch folk art started, I guess, about 1978, when we started having an influx of people from St. John's, mainly professors and people who were involved in folklore, coming out here doing taping of the local songs and stories. And I guess we just started to realize, Bernadine and myself and Kathy, you know, what a great wealth of cultural heritage we have. And we should do something about it. We have all these people coming in, so there must be something to it. And when we started collecting songs and stories and whatever, we realized that we have too much to just lose. So, you know, we were successful in getting some money through CEIC to sponsor some projects, like research projects into our cultural heritage, and we got a book and a video out of that. And also to the involvement that Cape Shore had in the 2 world wars and the Korean conflict. We just finished with that. And hopefully we'll get some money to put that into book form. But mainly it's to have something there for people of your age group or younger who want to look up any information about their ancestors, or they want to look at some old pictures. With the house that we just bought, we're hoping that we'll have like a mini archives in there, and it'll be open so that, you know, you can go in and look up any kind of information.
Tell us some of your duties as mayor and town council.
Most of the duties of the mayor and town council is be responsible to make sure that water and lights and garbage and everything is kept run around the place.
Are you working on any of those projects now?
Working on all those projects 24 hours around.
Yeah. I understand water is a sort of problem.
Yeah, water is a big problem. The biggest problem is money problem.
Yeah.
Can't get money enough to get the water line fixed up the way we'd like to have it fixed up.
Long-term projections for use in our community after they finish school.
There's not much future here for the young people right now the way the community is. There's a few jobs that's left in the community, and they're not jobs that people will be looking forward to coming out of school and going ahead, and I can guarantee you that I wouldn't. If I had my time back, I'd probably still be going to school. I finished grade 11 and then ended up going fishing, and certainly not something that I'm proud of now. If I had my time back, I wouldn't be at it.
Came out of nowhere, met up with the gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns staring. And we know that darkness boiled overtook us. And he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life, and reading people's faces, knowing what the cars were, by the way they held their eyes. So we don't mind me saying, I can see your out faces. For a taste of the whiskey, I give you some advice." So I became my bottle and drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And so them people like always lost all expression. He said, "If you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold it, when to hold it, know when to hold it, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the people."
Hospitality home. Oh gosh. Well, we lived in Trinity Bay in the Heart's Desire for about 5 years, and when we decided to move back here, I wanted to come back here and do something, not just come back and move from one small rural area to another with nothing to do. So I was over to my sister's one day, and my brother-in-law suggested this idea, and of course the more I thought about it, the more the idea appealed to me. So when we decided, when my mother remarried, we bought this house from her, and we just kept going from there.
And you built this place yourself?
Yeah, well, my husband did.
Yeah.
He designed everything. We did a lot of renovations, a lot of switching around, so to speak. Here things are slow, but next year will be better. Next year after that, we'll be right on stream.
Okay. What do you do here?
Well, make people feel at home, really. The purpose of a hospitality home is to make people feel more welcome than they would be in a hotel motel situation. They come in, they stay overnight, I give them breakfast in the morning. A lot of people come and have an evening meal. And really a lot of people traveling through, like from different countries, when they come in, they want to get to know the people of the area and get to know a little bit of the history. So this is a great opportunity to learn all of these little facts, you know. That way they have something to remember people by.
And your husband there, he's involved with the fox farmer?
He's a fox farmer, yeah. He's a fox farmer, and he's a carpenter, and he does a part of everything. But he does, we do have about 64, 65 foxes. So
Do you know about foxes?
I do. Every now and then I'm forced into a situation where I have to go out and feed the foxes. But I keep the books.
And you have 2 children now. Do they go to school in Branch or they go somewhere?
In St. Bride's this year, they go to St. Bride's. Up until this year, they went to school in Branch. We fought for the school to keep it here, but I think the school board already had their minds made up. So we were fighting a losing battle right from the beginning, actually.
And what do you think of the decline now in the fishery?
Well, the fishery, there is a decline, there's no mistaking that. But it's like everything, it'll come back again. I mean, I firmly believe that yes, it will come back again. The government has to put some real strict controls. But it's been down before and it's come back and it'll come back again.
And your 2 children, they're in elementary school?
Yeah.
And do you think now when they finish grade 12, do you think they'll stay here or?
Well, it's hard to say. Like my kids are only 6 and 8, so Carolyn is in grade 1 and Andrew is in grade 3. So they're not really that old, you know, to have their minds made up as to what they want to do. But in every small area, you know, there's all kinds of job opportunities that really people don't even see. People always have, everyone has their own thing that they can do, and some people are really good at a lot of different things like crafts and knitting and stuff like that. So the opportunity is always there for to start up little individual businesses, you know. So yeah, like this one. So I mean, the opportunity is there, and if they grow up and they have some ideas in their mind that they want to set up different kinds of businesses, well, I'll certainly. I mean, I won't say no just because they're in a small rural area. I would just simply say go for it. The water is still across from the mill where I anchored my boat all my life. The living was small, but I cared for them all, my son and my daughters and wife. For 200 years, men mended their gear on the wharf while the old ones looked on. Now there's tears in their eyes that can't be disguised as they mourn for a way of life gone. So I'll cut out my ropes and I'll throw away the clothes my father gave me before he died. My boat I'll haul up, 'cause I'm leaving the gut, and I'll not have my boy by my side on the sea. I'll not have my boy by my side. It's been coming so long, and there's worse yet to come. It's destroying a big part of me. See, I've spent all my time with anchors and twine. Us Frenchmen are men of the sea. And it's so hard to do when you're near 52. How the hell can you learn a new trade?
'cause I'm leaving the gut, and I'll not have my boy by my side on the sea. I'll not have my boy by my side. I've lived here all my life, and I'd say to my wife so often when Billy was young that I'd teach him to fish and I'd build him a skiff so he'd have a head start on his own. But that was a dream, not part of the scheme, since the final reports have come out. There's no future in fish or places like this. The fisherman's time has run out. So I'll cut out my ropes and I'll throw away the floats my father gave me before he died. My boat I'll haul up, 'cause I'm leaving the gut, and I'll not have my boy by my side on the sea. I'll not have my boy by my side.
I wrote for my son on his 4th birthday. Tommy's got a handicap, and I guess it was just something that was inside, and I wrote it and I sang it for a couple of people, and they were kind of touched by it, and I like to sing it as a sort of an awareness song, I guess.
The storybooks tell us we all have a cross we must bear. That's not always true, and I have something I will share. With 4 pretty girls and a husband as fine as could be. God gave me Tommy in March 1983. The doctors all said he won't live, we'll give him a day. And with children like Tommy, sometimes it's better that way.
who your mother and father lived there too?
Oh yeah, my mother was from Branch and my father was a Baptist school.
Have you seen many changes in Periscope?
Really, I can't say it's changed a lot, except for the worst. They don't do much farming or growing of vegetables. It's a different lifestyle. Now most people work on migratory work, construction jobs, and it was all subsistence farming at one time.
How many farm animals was here at one time, the most?
Oh, golly. Certainly every family had at least 2 cows, but there were some people kept 15 or 20.
How many did you keep?
4. We kept 4 cattle, I think around 25 sheep.
Okay.
But I think the best thing was the good gardens, fresh vegetables all the time.
Did you do much hunting?
Oh, I was always a bit fond of partridge in the country. I got a cabin in at the Burntail and yeah, I did a bit of hunting of eider ducks too.
What kind of work did you do?
Oh, during my lifetime I worked at everything, by starting at the base as a novice boy,
When was
going
this?
to clerk and power plant operator. I spent some time in the Air Force as a mechanic and flight engineer. I guess the most thing people know me here for was a wildlife biologist. I worked.
Was it the red herring? When they had Virgo.
Oh yeah, in phosphorus, yes. Well, not so much up here. It was down the bay the red herring came ashore.
How did it affect?
And well, it affected the codfish an awful lot. It partly would turn their gut sort of pinkish color and would sort of rot out of them.
Did it do any damage to humans after eating those?
No, not that I know of. The only thing I'd be inclined to say the populations went down at that time was cormorants.
They feed directly
yeah,
on
they feed on herring quite a
herring,
bit.
yeah.
Oh, I don't know about that, but there was all kinds of chemicals floating around the bay anyway.
What kind
you
of
know, cans of fleet and insecticides and so on. Pretty powerful insecticides. You could light the fire with them in the morning.
This way.
Yeah.
Used much of that heave up on the beach now?
Oh yeah, cans and cans. But this bay was really polluted during the war, you know. Especially oil from the Bill John D's tankers.
They just dumped it?
Oh yeah, cripes. There was
Clean
hundreds and hundreds of tours down there. You'd see them all the time, going around in that oil. In fact, just 4 or 5 years, I've never heard I don't think anyone else knew a tur by any of their name, only Tarry Tur.
Tarry Tur, yeah.
Yeah.
After hearing
Didn't know any other name for him. Because turs are not a common bird down here around all, you know.
Not down here, no.
No, we seldom see them.
Yeah. But we do see them, we shoot them. Well, we don't, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, we don't get much of a chance because the ones that nest in Cape St. Mary's, they go south and they're replaced by the thick-billed tur in the winter. That's the one that doesn't nest in Newfoundland.
They nest in the Cape, don't they?
Yeah, the ordinary tur, the common one, nests up there. But as I say, that one goes south for the winter.
Get the camera. Talk about Hibernia, right?
Mm-hmm.
You feel your... Turn that light on. Turn the light on.
Yeah, turned on.
The white one right there, the little white switch. Right below, over, right there. Okay. Spill your guts to us about Hibernia.
Oh, Hibernia. I wish to go into hibernation.
Why is that now?
Well, if you give me a choice between fish and oil, I'd much rather fish. It's a lot better eating.
Yeah.
Because
Besides, they didn't really do a good environmental impact study.
What do you think is the drop in the environmental impact study that they were supposed to do?
Well, I don't think that should be allowed, but they got Newfoundland or a barrel. We're a poor province, and they know we desperately need the money and jobs. So they won't care about the environment. The Atlantic Ocean is already the biggest garbage dump in the world.
Yeah.
So I don't see why we have to add to it. And besides that, I would say in 10 or 15 years, there's good possibility oil will be banned as a fuel because of the carbon dioxide effect.
Yeah,
And that'll be really the only time we're going to start getting many royalties. It'll be in about 15 years. The first 5 or 10 years are just going to be recovering the investment money.
The total chaos.
And that's 5 billion.
Yeah.
And of course it won't mean anything to the province because every dollar we make in royalties on Hibernia, there's $1 less in transfer payments from Ottawa. So basically we're no better off.
What would be some side effects you see coming out of Hibernia?
Well, if we ever have a blowout, I can see
do you think you would think
fish will be destroyed, seabirds. It's going to have a drastic effect on our lifestyle.
So all the tourism industry of Newfoundland will be, for the best part, be cut down, closed.
Oh well, who wants to look at a pollution?
Portland's president of CSADA and present fishermen. Mr. Crane, do you feel that the inshore fishermen were adequately taken care of in the $585 barrel?
The didn't address the inshore fishery, in my opinion, at all. The address was big towns with offshore fish fleets in it, and where there's a lot of people, where there's maybe thousands of people have out of work. With regards to small towns, where maybe there's only 100 or 150 people affected, as far as I'm concerned, they weren't addressed at all.
And what is your opinion on the inshore draggers dragging inside the 12-mile limit up of Cape St. Mary's this fall?
Well, it's proven history that every place that the inshore draggers got enough of effort in there to destroy it. You know, it don't take no one with a lot of brains to figure that out. Every place that there was an inshore dragger got into it all and got to put a lot of effort in there. They destroyed everything was there. About 4 or 5 years ago, they got in up here, and it was 16 or 17 of them up here for a couple of weeks or a month, and since that time up until this year, this is the first year that there was any sign of trawl fish back in our area. It's been about 4 years now since there was anything left up.
We got all kinds of animals now. We'll have a look at some of them. Here we have Mary feeding her pigs. We'll talk to them, Charles. Got it? Yeah, look at it. Big one?
Fishing.
What kind of fishing, inshore or offshore?
Inshore.
What kind of boat do you got?
36.
What do you think an inshore fish with it?
In 65, I think the populated we're holding our own with our youth, and holding our own with our babies coming along, and
there's more young people getting married here every year, and I think it'll double populate in the next 10 or 15 years.
And what do you think about us losing the school?
Why?
What do you think about us losing the school?
Well, see, they're a long time at that. The school was moved. It wasn't for the better of the children. It was the better of the high school and some rides, to keep some rides up. This was our little children was put out in the morning at daylight, frost and snow, but to keep the high school and some rides. That's what that was done for. Our school was holding up to what it was, and 'twas increasing. There'd be more to go to our school next year than was this year. So it wasn't for the decrease of our settlement that the pupils were took out for the benefit of somewhere else. I think they're crying. In 65, 66, 67, in 67, the high school opened in some rides. And my daughter was ready to go to high school, couldn't get there. No transportation. No transportation to Branch and no transportation after Cape Shore. Now, in 63 and 64, they were trying to move the people out of it, get us out of it, eh? But they couldn't get us out. So now when the high school come up, they were going to, no one get to high school without you put your child boarding over in some rise ago. And I went to Father Murphy about it. Why couldn't we have a bus as well as Branch and the Cape Shore? Oh, he said the high road said they wouldn't look after a bus in the winter time on our road. So that's not right. Yeah, he said that's what they told me. So I went to St. John's in 68. And I went to the high road people and I asked them about it. They said no such thing. They said if you have a bus to run the pupils in Point Lance, we look after the road, to look after them on the road. And I got a bus in 68 to bring the pupils to some rides.
What did you do for entertainment years ago? Entertainment.
Entertainment? Eh?
Yeah.
How long ago was that, do you want to know?
When you were your own?
When was your own? Well, entertainment we had was go to the goat, catch trout, go down on the sand, play ball, and go leapfrog, jump over one another, and jump into flower beds and jump out of them.